Hello, friends. Hi there. Welcome to another Midweek with Meaning. This topic has really been on my mind for a couple weeks now. And I think there's some really good stuff here that I'm wanting to share with you. So, welcome to Midweek with Meaning. My name's Angela Ward. I'm a registered nurse and soul midwife that helps people journey within and return renewed here at Guardian at the Gateway. And we've been doing this show every week for, a while now. Um, there are some changes coming to this show I'll let you know about at the end of this or perhaps next week's. But for today, I want to talk about the concept of discipline versus control. Now, the reason this came up for me is because I have been trying to figure out what is like a linchpin or keystone energy that I can develop this year that I feel would have ripple effects throughout all aspects of my life. And the word that really came to me is discipline. But of course, when I hear that word discipline, there's a lot attached to it. And so I wanted to dig into this word and share it with you. So, and for me to have a better understanding too. So, discipline is my word for the year. And yet, I have certainly been accused of, and I am certain all of you, many of you also carry this quality of being controlling. So, controlling is really wanting to control things, I think, is something that a skill many of us developed, especially if we had any kind of challenging, uncertain, unsafe experiences in our life. We all try to kind of control our environment and the way our relationships work together. And so when I think of discipline, I'm like, I don't know that I need to get more strongly into control, because to me, controlling feels really tight. So, of course, I go to my favorite dictionary and look them up. And so I wanted to look first at control. Control, I want to understand more about what that means. So it's a word from about the 15th century, early 15th century, which means to check the accuracy of, to verify, or to regulate. Regulate's the word that popped out for me. And it's from an Anglo-French word, which means to exert authority. It originally had to do with the way that things were measured against a duplicate register. It was an accounting term, essentially. But from the mid 15th century is when it started to mean to dominate, to direct, to exercise control over. Control as the act of a word means to keep under authority and regulation. The act of keeping under authority and regulation, of fact of checking and directing action, which there's some parts there that I feel can be related to discipline, but this piece of keeping under authority and regulation, and of course it's related to the idea of control freak, a person who feels an obsessive need to command any situation. So when I'm thinking of discipline, I am not looking to develop those qualities of obsessively needing to have the command of any situation, to exert authority, or to regulate, except perhaps in relationship to my own actions and my own way of thinking and being. So then what does discipline mean? So I wrote in my journal. If you don't have a beautiful journal, by the way, please get one. Like, why are you writing in something that doesn't make you feel joy? Just saying. But what I kind of dug into this word a bit, I'm just going to read what I wrote. Actually, before I began, there was a little quote here. I never saw a wild thing sorry for itself. From D.H. Lawrence. My overarching theme is discipline. I am a hard worker, but it's so much more than that. The word discipline does have a historical meaning of punishment for the sake of correction, which is from the 12th century, Old French. So this word is older when we consider discipline. And I wonder if you might anticipate where I'm going with this. It means treatment that corrects or punishes related to order necessary for instruction. But further back, the Latin meaning is instruction, education, and training, and related to the root word of disciple. A disciple is someone who is a pupil, a student, or a follower. As many as we know, Jesus had many disciples, right? And there were disciples of the Buddha, and all of these great spiritual teachers had disciples that were disciplined in the learning and the teaching. And it may also be related to the root of discerning, to discern something, which means to learn, take, and accept. And all of those roots have a very old root, meaning to make an offering, to bestow, to show honor and grace. So in a sense, discipline is, of course, a spiritual practice creating a sense of order to learn. So when I'm thinking of the difference between these two words, and I want to bring more discipline into my life, I'm not looking to, it's not about you. It's not about me controlling you. It's not about me controlling my environment or my interactions or my circumstances. It's less about relational discipline than it is about interpersonal discipline, external control, interpersonal discipline. So for me, I'm not motivated by punishment. It just doesn't work for me. I'm a rebel at heart, and if there's a punishment attached, I'm like, meh. So that's not going to happen for me. I need to keep my own orientation towards this spiritual practice, or this student that is looking towards kind of this orderly conduct to learn and grow in my own life. So yeah, I've really been feeling out, how do I do this? So in order for me to be a disciplined person, I need to bring into awareness what it is I'm wanting to learn and grow. And if this is something you're considering, I would invite you to do the same. What areas in your life would you like to bring in more discipline? Meaning, where would you like to strengthen, grow, learn, and maybe even show a sense of grace and honor, in that way. So when I'm thinking of self-discipline, I know that there are qualities in my life, there are actions that I can take that make me feel better when I do them. It's just a fact. It's not my favorite thing to admit, but the reality is it's just true. If I do not move my body, like beyond sitting in this chair all day long and looking at this computer screen all day long, if I do not do that, I have pain, I sleep poorly, and my mood is affected. In addition to not having my body working the way that I want it to, I want to be in a position where I can do things that feel good and minimize my risk of injury. So that is one aspect here, is how I need to move and feel good physically. Another part I'm hating to admit as I become an older person is needing proper freaking nutrition and proper rest. super basic. And if you've followed me for any period of time, you've heard me talk about this, right? Like barf. Who wants to talk about sleep and food and moving, right? But that's so basic and essential for a foundation for me to function well. Like if I am not getting really good sleep and actually do my sleep hygiene and actually work with getting my mind in alignment, I am simply just not operating my best, but I'm actually at a place in my life where I notice the harmful effects of it. If you're a younger person, bless you, because some of these things are not going to affect you the same way, and you just, I guess enjoy it while you can, if you choose to, and if you can, you might consider folding in some really healthy, nourishing habits as a younger person, because it does have long-term lasting effects. For example, as a young person, I've worked a lot of jobs. Maybe I should talk to y'all about that sometime. I've done a bunch of things in my life, but at one time I was a groom for a big Arabian show horse farm. And we used to go to horse shows all around the country. And I was required to care for these horses. And there was sometimes another person helping, or maybe it was just the trainer. But it was a lot of physical work. So I was on my feet for long, long hours. There was no thought really to eating. We would just kind of eat when we could eat. And oftentimes it was really shitty food. It was fast food. Someone brought a bunch of McDonald's and threw it at everybody and at the shows. And then I would have terrible, terrible sleep. I'd be sleeping in the horse trailer, for one thing. It was fun being in my 20s, I'll tell you. But I'd sleep in this horse trailer. It had a sleeping area, but it was still like I was at the show. And we would get up really early. I feel like we'd start oftentimes at like 5 or 6 in the morning, but some nights we'd be completing after midnight. So I'd be getting like winks of sleep, eating crappy food, pushing my body really hard, especially during show season. This was just constant. And I was able to do that at that age. I also had a place where I worked. Occasionally I would come and sleep in my car for a couple hours before I went to work when I worked other jobs. And it's just like, that was so, just because you could do it doesn't mean you should do it. Right. So this is a discipline that I have to bring in, because on one hand, the punishment is really how shitty I'll feel. Right. But the opposite side is when I do these things, it's amazing how responsive my body is, my energy is, and how good I feel. So that's one area where I'm looking at discipline, is just this personal discipline around getting to bed, eating well, moving my body. But other areas I'm looking to bring in more discipline is relationally to the people in my life that I care about, or even people that I don't care about. Not that I don't care about a lot of people, but you know what I mean. There's concentric rings of care, right? Without education and mindful practice, I'm just probably going to be however I'm going to be in relationship to people, and not really having a deeper understanding of situations that might cause triggering for me, which might cause me to react to somebody in a way that is really a way that divides us. Because I am not interested in burning bridges. I'm not. We live in such a divided culture, and we just cannot afford to be so divided. So it's important for me to build bridges and understanding with the people that cross my path. And that requires discipline in my own mind, and in my ability to see how I react, to see how I respond or judge or critique. And this is a balance, right? How can I do that and still stay really aligned with myself and in balance with myself and grounded in what I feel is more my authentic way of being in the world, coming from a place of integrity, and yet still carrying an open heart. Yeah, so that's an area of discipline, of examining those parts of myself and the reactivity. So I wonder if this resonates with you. Are there areas in your life where you seek to create a little more discipline? A little more. And what might that be? Feel free to pop it in the chat or message me later. I would love to hear what you have to say. And I would like to keep this a little short today, as you might be able to hear my throat's a bit scratchy. I don't know why. That's not great. Probably because I'm thirsty. We'll see. Are you drinking your water? How's your discipline around that? But let us draw a card for the week to give us a lens to look through when we think about discipline versus control. Also, I'd love for you to explore the energies of what feeling disciplined feels like versus feel controlling feels like, because to me, they're wildly different embodied energies. So anyway, last week we had Electric Eel, which was so sweet. Bring your ideas to life. When I was talking about psychedelics and ethics, whew, that was intense. So this week, what is an insight we could have around understanding discipline and ways to step into that with a sense of honoring, a sense of a sacred duty versus a punishment type of approach. Yeah, that's what I'm asking. Who would like to give us a perspective on that? This card does. Who's this? Who is this? Bobcat Spirit. Life is a mystery. Life is a mystery. And if it's not a mystery for you, then we should talk. Life is a mystery. Everyone must stand alone. I hear you call my name. Okay, sorry. This is not you wanting to listen to me sing, but you got it anyway. You're welcome. Okay, Bobcat Spirit says, the bobcat moves furtively and mysteriously, and when Bobcat Spirit appears to you, she brings a powerful reminder that not all things in life can be explained or understood through the power of intellect. Yes, 100%. I think this is another line for me with control versus discipline. Control is very intellectually driven, meaning even though it might be control in like you're trying to work out a certain way or control your body, but it's still very much mind driven. Discipline, if we're thinking of a disciple and the follower of one who, following and learning, that does feel more heart centered. So, okay. Not all things can be understood through the power of the intellect. Trying to figure out, find logical explanations, or predict what will happen based on reason and facts will not provide you with the certainty and comfort you seek. Discipline will. Bobcat asks you to trust in the great mystery and to let the secrets of the universe reveal themselves to you through direct experience. Allow your visions to slip into soft focus, and you will see between the lines and observe what has been hidden there all along. Bobcat Spirit helps you to know intimately the pulse of the divine in the world. Trust in the wisdom and revelations that come to you, yet know that understanding may not come as you would like. I think that is a really key word, because I think by kind of holding this softer gaze and keeping it less in this intellectual tightness, but heart-centered, I'm able to bring in a softness to this and to notice when understanding is coming in, but perhaps not in the way that I anticipated. I totally agree with that. What you experience through your heart and intuition, which comes to you as the voice of your inner knowing. Oops, wrong side of the card. What you experience through your heart and intuition, which comes to you as the voice of your inner knowing, will guide you now as you accept that secrecy is woven into the fabric of existence. No matter what, the appearance of bobcat spirit is a sign that you are being called to trust, even when what is revealed does not agree with your need for intellectual certainty. That is so good. Like, gosh, that is so good. Just when I think about my clients and myself and people I know, that it is so hard for us to have discipline because we have this need for intellectual certainty. And we also want proof. We want proof that it works before we try it. When we are in the practice of discipline, sometimes we don't know what truly is going to come through that process, right? We don't really know. We can have an idea of what we would like and why we're attempting to do this, but the intellectual certainty that allows you to say, oh, well, of course I should do this. Of course I should get off my screen before bed. You know, how much evidence do we need to look at around proper nutrition and rest and all these things? Like, you have to actually have the discipline and try it and see what arises from that mysterious place. So I think this is perfect. There's a whole bunch more for the reversed protection message if we pulled it upside down, which we did not. But I think that's a good place to stop for today. As we talk about this, it reminded me that my coach, Adele, is having a free class on Friday. I'm going to see if I can pop it in the chat for you, on universal laws. And that I'm really, really interested in that. So it's Universal Laws Masterclass. I'm going to put this in the chat if you want to check it out. I'd suggest it, really. I've learned a lot from Adele, and I think that is kind of the root of why I've started looking at this piece between control and discipline. So yeah, you might want to check it out. And then regarding Midweek with Meaning, so, I love doing this, and I also feel a desire to have a little more quality, I think is how I want to say it, quality with this offering for you. And so therefore, I'm looking at offering this monthly instead of weekly. I would love your suggestions for a name, but I think that way I could do a deeper teaching where I could give you more to work with over the month, to consider more things, and then perhaps just have pop-up shows once in a while where maybe I have guests or I have a brilliant thing I want to tell you all about. So I'd love to hear your comments and feedback about that. And what else can I tell you? Yeah, just before we started today, I was busy making you a new playlist. So if you follow me on Spotify and you look for my ketamine playlists, check it out. There'll be a new one soon. All right. Thank you, my loves. Thanks for joining. I hope you all have a gorgeous day, and we'll talk next week. All right. Bye.